Benjamin Franklin said there's only two things in life that are certain: death and taxes. So when I read an article this morning by Robert Bork Jr. and it talked about the realtor tax, I said I better go check that out because I was unaware of a certainty known as a realtor tax, except for the 15% self-employment tax that we have to pay because we're independent contractors. Now, if I know that taxes are certain, then I'd like to know what is certain in realtor world, because we are in a profession where we are not ever guaranteed getting compensated, yet he talks about how the home prices in the country are inflated because of what realtors charge. Mr. Bork, I need to explain some things to you. The first one is there is no requirement to use a realtor. The public has always had the option to go for sell by owner. The public also has about a blue million business models they can select from out there. So to continually use this talking point that there is a baked in guaranteed number is absolutely uneducated, and frankly, it's just lazy. And I would expect more from Robert Bork's son than laziness in this. When you talk about how it's realtor prices that have kept home prices up, I would actually ask you to look at the immigration situation, because we have a supply and demand problem. We who are professionals helping people navigate the American dream are not the issue. And in fact, if there were a realtor tax, that would be something baked into every home price. I should probably remind you of this. When we choose to be professional realtors, we are micro entrepreneurs. We are paid on commission. And let me tell you how commission works, Mr. Bork. I'm only paid at the closing of a successful transaction. That means when the buyer and seller get something they're satisfied with, that's the only time I get compensated. I'm working for free the rest of the time. I'm working at the hope of getting paid, not from any kind of a tax that is forced upon anybody. There is no forcing upon people of any realtor commissions, because the public gets to make their own choices. That is what we love about America. And yet you are jumping into straight up Marxist communist talk when you want the Supreme Court to do something about what entrepreneurs charge. Did you hear yourself? You're somebody who works for conservative think tanks, and you're over here talking about wage fixing, price fixing, and telling me what I can and can't earn as a professional in the marketplace. Please take just a moment, talk to some local realtors and find out what they think about the marketplace. They're probably going to educate you about the cost of doing business right now, which are escalating because of inflation caused by the Fed. They're probably going to talk to you about how the transaction numbers are down. There's just not as much real estate out there, and what they're doing to elevate the experience for their buyers and sellers, because the realtors that I know are very focused on excellence right now, while they're simultaneously relearning regulatory affairs and legislative action every single day because of the lawsuits that keep coming up that are caused by poor messaging from other organizations. So before you go saying the Supreme Court needs to determine what any profession gets to charge or is allowed to charge, reset your thinking, sir, because the Fifth Amendment says private property shall not be taken. That also means you don't get to tell me what I'm allowed to make and not make when it's the public who decides whether or not to hire me, including you. If you call me to become your realtor, I'm going to interview you, and maybe we're a fit and maybe we're not, because you get choice and I get choice. And that, my friend, is the American way. This is not a realtor tax. This is you not seeing the value. And I just hope that you run into the realtor in the future who will show you exactly how hard they work, because my people in this business are some of the hardest working Americans out there. They give back every single day, and they do it all with just a hope and a prayer of one day getting compensated.